And we're live.
Yay!
We had some serious technical issues getting on air today. It just did not want to work. And now my phone's ringing.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So anyways, welcome to Naturelover, who has a channel on YouTube all about witchy topics and lots of different things. And we sort of got together and talked about how we both are empaths. And we thought maybe we would do a few discussions about the struggles and the good parts of being an empath. So would you like to start and tell your story?
Well, my story was when I was very young, and I was probably about 10, and a friend of the family was ill, quite elderly, but ill. And I kept having this one dream over and over for about a good week. And then a following week, or the week after even, I had the same nightmare again. And I was like, make sure he's got his medication, make sure he takes it. And lo and behold, it did happen. And I had actually felt it myself during the night and mimicked his heart attack as he had his. And it was horrible.
Oh, I'm sure.
Especially at such a young age.
Well, you probably had no idea what was going on, right?
No, I didn't. And it was hard to get someone to believe what I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mandy. Well, how are you, sweet pea?
Hi, Mandy. And so that's part of being a physical empath then.
Yes. I am a physical and an emotional empath. So I feel their physical pain, but I also feel their emotions. So it can be quite overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely overwhelming.
Oh yes.
So what have you come to do that you're able to control it now that you're a little older and understand what's going on?
What I do is I always make sure that I'm grounded and that I've got space that I can go to get away if I need to. But I also try and do anything to keep me calm and relaxed. And then I will also try and help that person to sort out or deal with what it is that's causing them the emotion. So if it's a friend that just needs a shoulder to cry on sort of thing, because then at the same time that helps me as much as I'm helping that person.
Sure it does. See, now I used to wonder, why? Why would I get these physical symptoms? Because, I can't help it. I always want to know why. What is the reason behind this? And maybe the physical symptoms are so that you sort of clue into that this person needs help. Like it's immediate. I don't know about you. I've gotten better as far as physical empath goes, because immediately upon realizing who it might be, it starts to go away. Now, I don't mean like, immediately the pain will disappear, because I'll actually have it for days. But
it'll ease up a bit.
It'll ease up, and once I know exactly who it is and why that might be happening, and if I start to think about them or send, good energy to them sort of thing, then it starts to ease up. And if I talk to them as well.
Yeah, I must admit, I do find the emotional a lot more overpowering, and the physical is more, I can cope with it more. Whereas the emotional, it's still kind of like, ugh, can't cope.
Emotional is the most difficult part of being an empath. So I should go back and tell my story. So I always had that ability. I just didn't know what it was. And really what we're talking about here is clairsentience. Like, it's not just empathic abilities, or it's not just highly sensitive person. It is a form of like a sixth sense, a psychic ability. It's clairsentience. And I didn't know what that was. I knew I always had it. So going into sort of buildings or places that had a lot of energy, you can feel it. I'm sure you can as well. Places like graveyards, hospitals, large stores like Home Depot or grocery stores, that kind of thing. They all have their own energy and they're different, but those are places that I can feel right away. A mall, you can feel it right away. It's like obvious.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, and the funny thing is I worked retail most of my life, so I lived at the mall. How I did that now, I do not know. But kind of going back, the first time I heard the term empath was, I'm going to guess, about 2010 or so. I was working with a woman, and she was a very strong energy, like narcissistic, negative energy. And I'm learning now that these people are around you because they need help, or you need to learn something from them. Like, they're there to teach you something. And she was actually one of the best teachers, because even though she really gave me struggle, because of her, I started researching to figure out what it was, because it was overwhelming with her. The minute I would walk into the building and she was there, I could feel her. I knew what she was thinking. I knew what she was doing. I knew what she was planning, all of it. And anytime you've sort of worked with a narcissist, you know that they kind of make you feel kind of crazy. Like, that's kind of their MO. So she was doing all of that, as well as me feeling everything she's doing, me knowing exactly what she's doing and exactly what she's thinking. She's also running that narcissistic thing, that game that they do, right? Where they'll turn other people against you, make you feel like you're going crazy. Basically, gaslighting is what they call it.
Oh, yes.
Gaslighting you, right? Lighting
the fire.
Yeah, what are you talking about? I'm not doing that. And as an empath, you're just sitting there going, yeah, you are. Like, I can see you. Don't lie to me. You don't lie to me. I can see you behind the curtain there. I know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. So I started doing a lot of research on the internet to figure out what this is, and I came across the term empath. And it kind of snowballed from there, because once you get on the internet and look it up, it's not painted as something nice. It's not painted as something pretty. And I think there's a lot of
satirical, or whatever the word is, stereotyped.
Yes. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, that if somebody were to go and read all of that and not be in the right frame of mind, you would end up being very depressed and want to stay away from people. So it's almost like I want, because Kat, you and I sort of have that, the same, feeling as that it is a gift and you need to treat it that way. And there is a reason for it, and that's to help other people and not get caught up in the negativity and all that sort of thing. So if we can talk about, how to not get, drawn into some of the scarier parts of being an empath, I think that would really help people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Wow, it's not as dark and gloomy and the world's coming to an end as such, like they make out.
I know.
That's for sure. No, but they do. It's not that bad once you get to know what it is and understand it.
Mm-hmm.
If you find people like you find that the world's really not that small, and there's loads of people that are one way or another empathic.
Yes.
It's not like it's a curse or anything. There has been research go on, and those that are like schizophrenia and people like that, they're now doing research because it might not even be schizophrenia. They reckon it could actually be a good chance that they're empathic. Control it. So that's a nice study to be finally come out.
And that they can see and feel things that other people can't. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, of course, there's degrees to it with anything that, you know, you go from, you know, the people that are highly sensitive, as they say, to empaths, to being clairsentient, to probably being overwhelmed, which is probably what happens to people with schizophrenia. So one of the most important things, because you mentioned it, was grounding yourself, being grounded, having balance is the most important thing.
It is.
So you hit it right on the nail there, being grounded in reality.
Without it, you'd fall apart. You probably really would.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
Anything that grounding doesn't have to be like a major big thing. It can be a walk in the park or whatever makes you feel calm and just relaxed is still grounding you. It's like I've got a hagstone around my neck. It's earthy and I have a connection to earth. So it's my way that if I get too much, I just sit there and I'll play with it and just think of like woodlands or forests, anything that's earthy to help make sure that I'm staying grounded. Anything like keeping a crystal on you or, you know, a Pacific pendant or something, if it helps ground you, then keep it on you or keep it at hand so that you can use it when you really, really need that boost.
I totally agree. You know, nature walks, first of all, meditation, you know, having a good connection with your inner self and connecting with the earth as well. And then getting out in nature. And we talked a little bit about, you know, tree hugging as well. So that's really healthy for you to do, especially if you're an empath. You go outside, you know, preferably in like a forest where you have several trees. This is just my own personal experience, but any tree will do. If it's just, you know, a tree in your front yard, and as you come home from work, stop at that tree and put all your negative emotion into that tree, down into the earth, and then bring back up some grounded energy. Like, you wouldn't believe how well that works. I know it sounds silly.
And chakra work is really good as well.
I'd recommend it. Yeah, and chakra work, yes, absolutely. And a lot of people put up, you know, protective bubbles, which is something I've done as well. To me, it doesn't stop energy from coming in at all. You know, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel protected when you leave the house, but it won't stop. You know, I think once you're an empath, you're just born that way. You're always going to be an empath. You're always going to feel the energy of people around you out in the public, or people that you're working with, or any of that sort of thing. Nothing is ever going to stop it. Scare people. But what you have to do is be able to understand it, and be very secure in who you are. And that way you can deal with it. So immediately, if you're starting to feel like you go into a room and you all of a sudden feel really anxious. A lot of people have anxiety out there. I'm sure you run into this constantly. So you feel you're really great. You walk into a room, somebody in the room has anxiety. And that is something you can pick up really easily as an empath.
That's like a wham, bam.
Yeah, wham, bam. And it's something I encounter most often at work. In fact, the one day I walked into work, now I was very, at this job that I had, I was very secure there, you know, people like me and that sort of thing. And I remember walking in one day, and within about 10 minutes, I felt like the boss was going to come and walk me to the office any second now, and he's just going to fire me on the spot. And I thought to myself, why are you feeling that way? Like, where was this coming from? And then I finally, it dawned on me. I realized this was somebody's fear. So when I looked around and sort of figured out which coworker it was, because that's the other interesting part, is that you don't necessarily know who it is in the room. You can just feel the feeling. And then sometimes you can figure out who it is. And I figured out who this coworker was. And normally, you can't ever, go up to your coworker and say, "Can I give you a bit of Reiki today?"
As much as we'd like to.
But this woman, I asked her permission, like, can I touch your shoulders, and gave her a bit of Reiki to just ease this anxiety off of her, because it was vibrating off of her that it was so strong, it was overwhelming. But that's a good example of walking into a room, you feel fine before you get there, and then all of a sudden you have an overwhelming feeling of anxiety. It could be depression is another one that's really strong. Anger.
Oh, yes.
Unfortunately, it's always the negative emotions that are really strong. If somebody's really happy, it's like, oh, that's great. But you don't feel it overwhelmingly the way you do negative emotions. Yeah. Or at least I don't.
Especially if someone's nervous, it's just,
nervous, yes.
That gets to your gut and knots.
Yeah, anxiety. Anxiety is the big one. Nervous, anxiety. I remember going to a concert where my son was playing guitar that night. And it was a group of kids in their classroom, and they were all, their first performance with their guitar kind of thing. Oh my God. The energy in that room was overwhelming, because all those kids were so scared, so filled with anxiety to get up there with those guitars, that all I did was just sit there and send them, loving energy. You can do it, kind of thing. And I didn't run away. It's not like it was overwhelming to me that I couldn't sit in the room. I felt it, sure. But I knew exactly what it was. I knew exactly where it was coming from. So it was okay. And then when I left the room, it stayed there. I didn't need to take it with me. So I think that's one of the major lessons that people need to sort of learn, that are new to figuring out what it is. If I can teach somebody that's, just figuring out they're an empath, that would be the first thing, is that when you feel something in a room like that, you can leave it there. You don't need to take it home. Doesn't need to stay with you for days, honestly.
No, you just leave it at the door, and then you just carry on with what you're doing.
Yes, yes. It's more difficult when you get into a work situation and, there's a person there that needs a lot of help. And I don't know about you, but they always latch on to me constantly. If there is a person in the group, if I'm starting a new job, that's almost immediately the first person I meet, whoever needs the help.
Oh, yes. And you got to show them around and show them how the ropes and stuff. And it's just like, yay! Because you want to help that person, but as much as you want to help them, it's like, don't really want to feel what you're feeling just because I'm helping you.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming. Yeah. Just because you have to see that person, you know, every day when it's work related. So that's the hardest ones, is when they're work related.
Yeah, almost becomes a bit like a magnet kind of reaction after then.
It is. It is. I got rather good at the last few jobs of sort of spotting who I would call, you know, the narcissist in the group. I was pretty good at spotting them. So I would avoid at all costs. I would be friendly, but then I would make my way and get away, because those were the ones that, you know, sort of turned toxic in the end. And I had learned to, if you just avoid it, deflect it before it even starts.
Oh, yes. Otherwise, they become vampires and drain all your energy and give you all of theirs. And it's like, I really don't want that, thank you.
No, no. So yeah, that's not good.
No, that's like since being an empath, I've always find that my intuition and gut instinct is heightened that much more, and it's easier to pick up whether someone's a bad person. It's like, okay, I wouldn't do anything with that person because he seems quite dodgy, or that person seems really genuine, and you kind of know to listen to it because you know you can feel it, you can pick it up, and you know that it's not just in your head kind of thing. So that does come in quite handy.
Yes, yeah, it's like a radar. You can usually spot it right away before it sort of gets into the territory of, you know, I don't want to call it being abused, but that is kind of where it goes. If you let it go too far, you'll end up being abused by those people. So yeah, I've learned to spot them and not get in too deep, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
And you know, it's all sort of thanks. I go back to that first lady that really challenged me, the one that was really attached to me. She's the one that sort of taught me that. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have known what it meant or what it is or whatever, and I would have just kept struggling and thinking, oh, you know, this person just doesn't like me, you know. And that's why this stuff keeps happening. Well, there's always one everywhere you go. There's always at least one, sometimes two or three, that need a lot of help. And there's nothing wrong with stepping in and helping them as long as it doesn't turn toxic.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse, because once that one person's gone toxic, it is so hard to ground yourself, to cleanse yourself, because it can just linger and you think, oh, I've got rid of it all, but you haven't quite got rid of that last little spectacle, and it just builds back up again.
Yeah. And it's hard to cut ties at that point, right? So because you know, you're fully, like, as an empath, you just constantly like attach to people. Like, I don't know about you, but I attach to people very easily.
That's hard not to.
It's a boundary issue, which empaths have a struggle with, because you know, we're drawn to people and we right away sort of bond with them. And if you get attached to somebody, and then figure out later on it's going to turn into something toxic, then it's difficult to cut the ties. And you know, people have sort of asked me, well, how do you do that? Like, I want this person out of my life for good. I don't want them to keep coming back. They keep coming back. How do I do it? And every time I tell them the secret, they don't want to hear it.
I think a lot of the time it scares them.
Yes. Well, I should tell you what the secret is. And this is why people don't want to do it, because you've got to send positive energy to them, and you need to forgive them. and forgive yourself for getting into the situation that you're in. So you sort of have to take responsibility for not only letting yourself get in too deep, but you have to forgive them for whatever they've done to you. And we're talking about relationships that are pretty bad. It could be, you know, spouses and that sort of thing. So of course, hearing that, they don't want to hear that. No way I can forgive that person. You know what they did to me? You know, and then I just say, okay, they're not ready yet. They're not ready yet.
But at the end of the day, it's when people say you shouldn't hold on to anger because that's your self-destruction, it is true.
It is.
You know, the only way to move forward is to forgive them. And that is hard. It's not easy.
No.
But doing that doesn't just make you the bigger person. Like you say, it frees yourself of that tie because you'll no longer have anything to do with that energy. You're brushing that energy off you and giving it back, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only way to, you know, physically cut those ties to somebody is, you know, sort of, you can do your releasing sort of ceremony ritual where, you know, you're cutting ties and you write down everything that, you know, sort of bothers you about that relationship or whatever, and burn it and do that sort of thing. But you've got to be able to forgive them and let them go at the same time, or it'll linger. And unfortunately.
Yes, it is a bit like a leech.
Yeah.
Except salt don't work.
Yeah. So we'll get back to nice. Maybe something that's not so deep and just going back to sort of some empath stuff about, you know, walking into, you know, different areas. So I'm just curious, what does, like, say, a grocery store, big box store feel to you? Like one of those bigger stores with, yeah.
Absolute mayhem. You feel smothered. Escape unless you leave. But yeah, I do feel very smothered.
I honestly sometimes feel like all eyes are upon me. And it doesn't matter what I'm wearing that day because, you know, I dress a little more alternatively. People do stare sometimes. In fact, yesterday I was walking through the mall with my son in a big Victorian dress. So people were staring. But I also feel like there's all this energy. I don't know why I feel it in a mall or, you know, a big box store, a big grocery store, any of those three I kind of lump together. It feels like you've got an audience. Feels like that there's just this heaviness. And one of the other things that I used to feel in the mall, this is before I even knew what this was, and I kind of figured this out on my own, was that I remember thinking, you know, like I would want to buy things all the time, even though I don't need to buy things. But here I am in the mall. Oh, I need to go spend my break, you know, going and buying stuff. Well, I realized that I was taking on the energy of all these people shopping. They were there to shop. They wanted to buy things.
And then that's the feeling that you get is you want to buy things, and you'll be picking up and looking at stuff that you think, hang on, normally this isn't my kind of stuff, so why am I looking at it? Why
am I out here shopping on my break? Like, I don't need to buy anything. I honestly would do that. Or, you know, the people who are at the mall, they're in a hurry. They've got kind of that anxiety level going on because they don't want to be at the mall. You know, they don't want, like, maybe they don't want to spend the money that they have to spend to get something. On the opposite end of wanting to shop, you know, there's the, I don't want to spend the money. So you get that weird anxiety feeling going on about spending money yet wanting something.
Yeah, then you get that energy of where people are after all the bargains and the sales. And it's like, oh, I must try and get it first. And it's like, no.
Oh my God. Like the mall is toxic. No kidding. And Christmas time was the worst. Christmas time in the States, just before, let's say from Halloween time, just after Halloween, October 31st to, let's say, a week after Christmas. That's your time period where I just wanted to go hide in the back room. Because
I just wanted to go to a cave and shut myself in a cave.
Because people are really a little crazy during that time.
It's
They're
Christmas.
angry.
The world is coming to the end. It's like,
you think everybody would be happy, but they're not. They're not.
No.
They're angry.
They're
They've got
miserable.
anxiety about spending money. They don't want to be there. It takes too much time, whatever. And you're feeling all of it.
Yeah. And the kind of sensation it gives off is, you know, the handrails on the escalators, sometimes they give you a shock, like a static kind of shock. Sometimes when it's that bad, it is literally, you're feeling that sensation because you're being hit by the vibration so hard and you're thinking, I don't want to go in there. I want to avoid there.
Yeah. It's bad. I don't know how I did it. I think you just kind of get in this mindset of, I'm just going to suffer it through it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it, kind of thing. And one of the shops that I worked in was one that was really famous for their Christmas decorations. So Christmas there was just nuts. And it was small, and there was lots of china and breakable stuff. And so
not good.
Christmas time at that store was just crazy. So we'll talk about, so that's sort of the anxious, irritable kind of feeling. I'm wondering how you feel at concerts.
Can't do concerts.
Oh, really?
Well, I can and I can't. If they're small concerts, I can just about handle it. But if they're big concerts, it's so overwhelming with the excitement from everyone, and you've got music going, but then you've got the feelings and the emotions from the artists that are up there performing, and it can be so like a seesaw, so you're like this. So sometimes it can be a bit much.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. But concerts to me are happy. And you're right about being overwhelming. You're absolutely right. It can be, like happiness overwhelming though. So it's a positive overwhelming. Whereas you feel overwhelmed at the mall with the negativity kind of feeling, you get the exact opposite at a concert. Everybody's happy.
It's almost like you're high on happiness.
Yes. Yeah, it's a high. Everybody's listening to the music, they're dancing, maybe they've had a few drinks, they're relaxed, like
got all this like energy going and you can't stand still, and it's just like
that the feeling at a concert where people are dancing and singing, amazing. That's why I like going to concerts so often. So let's see, what's another one? Well, parties are an interesting mix. It depends on whether or not you know the people. I often feel a lot of anxiety from people at parties, which I find interesting.
I feel sometimes that people can feel really uncomfortable and awkward. And it's like, get some drinks down and you'll be fine.
Yeah, awkward, anxiety, nervousness kind of feeling, which is interesting because usually it's with your friends. It's usually people you know. There might be a few people there that you don't know. It depends on the party, right? If it's a larger party. But I find people are more anxious and nervous there than just about anywhere else. And just like a small kind of cocktail party. That's why I kind of make a point of going and talking to people, because I want to, like, you know, find that one person in the room that's like really anxious and in the corner and go talk to them. Make them feel better.
Often enough, but if you do that, you do start to feel it kind of help eases them up a bit. And you kind of think, oh, that's a small relief. I'm happy with a small relief.
So probably hearing that, you know, is probably freaking some people out, because as you can tell, I am an extrovert. Most empaths are introverted. I guess I'm a little different that way. I can feel what people are, you know, feeling or thinking about a situation, but I just go in and do it anyways, if that makes any sense. Let's talk about, how do you handle a situation where you know somebody's telling a fib, telling a lie to you?
If I know they're telling a fib to me, I will talk about the same subject, but I'll do more than one approach. So I'll come from more than one angle and kind of trip them up, so to speak. And I'll be like, so you were fibbing. But it's like, with my partner, I know when he's fibbing. And I don't
he's in trouble. Yeah.
And he goes sheepish.
Yeah, he won't get away with anything. With him,
it's, I'll try it. I'll come back later with a new approach. And then eventually he will end up telling me. And it's like, see, I told you, I knew it. He's like, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, if anybody's watching this that knows me, yeah, I usually know when people are lying. I can read it like a book. But here's the interesting thing about being an empath. I call it the empath dance, because I find that, well, first of all, I'd have no friends. Right. Yeah, right. You know, tell me another story kind of thing. I'd have no friends. Secondly, I don't really find that it's my place to call people out on things. Because I'll tell you why, like, other than, you know, your spouse, honest, you know, that I understand that. But let's say you're having a conversation with somebody and they're, you know, they're fibbing about something small. You know, what does it matter? What I see is that a lot of people sort of put on a mask to sort of survive, you know, a world where a lot of people are very critical or that sort of thing. And, you know, they put on this persona when they go out the door. And I kind of feel like, you know, where is it my place to sort of rip that persona off of them, kind of thing. So I just let them go on. And it's not that, I can't say I even really get annoyed, other than I just kind of find it entertaining. when it's something small and they're sort of telling me this story and I'm just kind of looking at them going, oh, okay, you know, and the whole time, you know, I'm reading into what actually is going on or what actually happened. And that's where I kind of clarify, this is not just being empathic. This is a clairsentience. That is a psychic sense, when you can sort of look beyond the mask and see what's the person's actually, what they're actually feeling. Yeah.
And it's just like, I work in retail, and when you've got young couples and they're like, they say something like, if you just look that girl up and down, and the bloke's like, no, you just smile to yourself and think, just tell her the truth, you're such a liar. And you kind of go up to him and say, you're lying like hell, mate. No, don't get involved. Do not get involved.
Do not get involved. Yeah. See, exactly.
He's lying, by the way, love. But it's not. No, walk away.
Yeah, yeah. I can remember having a whole conversation with somebody and they were just telling me a whole load of crock. And I thought to myself, first of all, I honestly get into this thought pattern, you know, even while they're talking, thinking, why are they telling me all this? You know, like, why do they think I would care, you know, kind of thing. But like I said, it goes back to that sort of persona thing that, you know, maybe they feel they need to sort of put on airs when they go out in public, you know, to make themselves feel a little better. So I don't normally say anything. Yeah, I'll just let it go. And you know, and I'll usually figure out later on, oh yeah, they were lying about that. You know, this didn't happen or that didn't happen, and it's almost like a little check. What is that?
Or it's either that, or it's, oh yeah, they were just exaggerating. That didn't happen.
Or just exaggerating, right? Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I find that is one of the biggest things as far as being an empath you're going to have to deal with, is that you'll be able to sense when people are not being truthful, and how to be able to handle it without you know, insulting people and making them feel bad.
I think the hardest thing is when it comes to family. And you know, even if there's an argument in the family and you know one of them's lying, it is so hard to try and keep yourself level-headed and not get too involved, led by your emotions, knowing that that family member's fibbing, or not to get too involved in the fact of letting their emotions take over you. And that can that's the hardest thing, I think, is when it comes to family.
It just made me think of something as well, is that some people really believe what they're saying as well. So they might wholeheartedly believe that. That might be their truth. We're getting into where you see perception. So everybody sort of sees the same thing differently. But that might actually, they might actually think that they're right, that they are telling the truth in some way. Like it's interesting to watch. I've seen that sort of thing happen as well.
Can be very interesting.
Yeah. So I think, you know, I think just the few things that we've sort of talked about, I think that's why people sort of struggle with being an empath. If you go around sort of feeling all these feelings, you know, feeling the emotions of, you know, a place, feeling the emotions of a crowd of people, knowing if they're fibbing to you or not, you know, that sort of stuff, that can be overwhelming. And a lot of people end up sort of being recluse. They don't want to go out. I know I went through a period where I did not want to go to the grocery store for a long time. Just didn't want to go. I don't know what it was about the grocery store, but I did not want to go. And my husband, you know, he was really good and he would take me and go with me. So that helped.
I've barricaded myself in the house for days on end before. And that's just like, no, don't want to step outside that door.
Just to recharge, you know, like I'm kind of weird in that I'm extroverted. So like if I go to, let's say, you know, like a you know, Comic-Con or something like that, or the other day I went to the market and I was all dressed up. So I was talking to people and I was out and doing all that sort of thing, which is awesome. I love that. But then the next day I'm totally drained and I may not want to go anywhere. You know, and sit at home and sew and not leave the house kind of thing. So I'm constantly up and down as far as like energy wise.
It's, you need to kind of like find that balance of in between, but attaining that balance and finding it can be quite hard, let alone maintaining it. So yeah, like you say, it is very up and down like a seesaw.
Yeah.
So as an empath, do you pick up emotions from animals as well then?
Oh, definitely.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Dogs, cats, yeah, definitely. My little dog, she's an empath too. Must be why I picked her. But I think most dogs are empaths. Like they are known for, if somebody's not feeling well, they'll go and lay with that person to make them feel better, and they just do it instinctively.
Yeah, my
Cats as
cat.
well. Yeah, they just do it instinctively. They don't think about it. They probably don't even know why I need to go lay with this person today, but I need to go and sit with them so they feel better, right?
Like, if I have a seizure, they'll come lay right close to me and just so gently just keep doing this to let me know that they're there. And it's just like, oh, you're so sweet, you're so cute.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a dog lover, and cat lover too. I used to have cats when I was younger. I've had dogs most of my life though. So yeah, and I saw this dog yesterday at the market that that poor dog, he had anxiety issues. He didn't want to be out in public, so he was terrified of anything and anybody. You know, you've seen those dogs where, you know, somebody comes up and just tries to pet them, but he's sweet. He wasn't like barking and growling and terrified in that way. He was just scared. So he kind of like would crouch up and put his tail between his legs, and he's this great big dog too. And everybody, you know, sort of wanted to pet him because he was cute, right? But he was terrified of everyone. Yeah, my one friend that was with us, he's really outgoing. Like, he's a performer. He does all kinds of things. He's out there. Everybody likes this guy when they meet him. But he kind of took his hat off and knelt down, like, so he'd be at the eye level with the dog, and the dog came over and he petted him and, you know, kind of got to know him, and that dog kept trying to follow him around after that. Like, they bonded. Yeah, so cute. So when I see stuff like that, you can't tell me they're not like people. Like, he you know, that dog was like, oh, he came down to my level and was talking to me, and I know he's safe, so I'm gonna go hang around with him.
They are so like humans, emotional wise, and I think sometimes people forget that they are a living creature, so they do have feelings and emotions. They just have a different voice to what we do.
Yeah, they have different ways to showing it. You know, that's why dogs sort of show aggression, is when they're scared. So, and I often wonder if dogs, because I believe in reincarnation, right? I often wonder if dogs have a previous life that something has happened to them, and that's why they end up being, you know, sort of difficult to deal with in this life, kind of thing. Were they abused in another life? Like, it makes you wonder. Yeah. Makes you wonder if they were abused in a previous life, and now this life they're very skittish, you know, afraid of people.
It's kind of gone with them.
Yeah.
I think hamsters are quite cool.
That would be an interesting conversation for us as well, but that maybe we'll save that for another video. Reincarnation and past lives.
I think that'd be quite a good one.
Have you done much looking into it? Like, as far as like, you know who you might have been and that sort of thing? Or where?
I haven't as such, but it is definitely something I'm interested in doing. So I'm going to try like different methods, because like some people, it works for them to meditate. For some people, they need to do a different kind of an approach to it. So I might try 1 or 2 approaches and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll probably log it and go from there and try and put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, some people need hypnosis to pull it out. Yeah. Which is interesting. Yeah, sometimes it's right there at the surface and then sometimes it's not. Now that is sort of an empath skill. I can do it sometimes to be able to, what they call it, access Akashic records, Akashics. I don't know, saying that right. But be able to access people's past lives. Like, have you ever done that? Sitting there talking to somebody?
I have once, and I don't even know how it even happened. I really don't. It just, oh. He's like, what? I was like, you used to be a train driver. He's like, what do you mean? I said, you used to be a train driver. All I could see was him, a train driver. And it's like they were right next to each other. And it's like, oh, a little movie. Oh, and there's you. Oh, it's definitely you. It's like, what's going on? What's this? And then he's like, I'll tell you a secret. I was like, what's that? He's like, I've had hypnosis done to actually access a past life. And you're not wrong. I was like, say what?
Oh, confirmation. That's awesome.
Yeah. But that's something I would like to try and hone in on more.
Mm-hmm.
For definite.
I think it's part of an empath skill set because I've talked to quite a few empaths and they can do the same thing. So I think it's one of our skills. You just need to sort of practice it and tune into it. But I've done it a lot with people, but I have no idea if I'm right because it might be different people that don't ever sort of look into it.
Exactly.
So, they never go and do hypnosis to figure out, if other people have told them of this past life. But it's interesting that I do the exact same thing as you did. Like I'll see a little movie, I see them doing whatever it is they did. Whatever sort of life they had before. It's really interesting. Yeah.
It's really neat, and at the same time, it's really spooky as well. Especially like if you've got the actual person in the flesh in front of you, and just to the side of him, you've then got the little film playing, and it's like, oh, I'm getting dizzy.
So that segues into another thing that empaths normally can do, and that is viewing sort of past events. So I think a lot of people think of this as sort of a medium skill, but I kind of put it over in being an empath, and that means seeing imprints of past events, like energy playing out in like something that happened in the past. An example would be I went to one of the forts here in Ontario. I believe it's Fort Henry. And Fort Henry had a huge battle on it, like inside the fort. I don't know all the history to it. Maybe somebody does. But there was a battle that played out inside the fort. And I went there for a steampunk festival. So there I am, all dressed up, enjoying the steampunk festival. Everybody's walking around all dressed up. But, and I'm not going to say this is through my own eyes. It's, it's an impression in your mind kind of thing. I could see the scene of the soldiers and a battle. And what sparked it was that they were firing some of the old guns in the fort for the people that were there for the steampunk festival. They were firing the great big, shotguns from the 1800s and 1700s, and letting people sort of try it out. And hearing that, for whatever reason, just sparked this. I almost call it's like a movie. it's like a movie playing out in front of me. So I could see all the soldiers fighting. I could feel it. I could feel the weather, the different weather that was there when the battle went on. Yeah, it's really interesting. It doesn't happen to me a lot. I've had it happen a few times. And when it does, it's fascinating.
I
like
can be
time
like
travel.
that sometimes with objects. I can touch an object and like I can feel its energy, and then I put that object back down. Then it's like a movie would play. That energy transforms into a movie of you know, the person who it belonged to, of them using that item, and it's pretty weird but so intriguing because you want to know
No, I know
more.
what you're saying. Yeah.
You know,
they call that something though. That's a certain skill. I forget what they call it. Something Nancy.
I can't remember at the top of my head.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. So if you pick up an object and it's got a residual effect of energy from, you know, the person that owned it previously, what they were like, or something that happened in their life, and it plays like a little movie. Yeah. Yeah, they call it, I forget what it is called, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Which is interesting when you go to like a thrift store, because it doesn't happen for everything I buy. You know, I'm not going to get a reading off of everything in a thrift store. That's no. It's only certain objects.
And I tend to find it's the more you concentrate to do it, the less it works. It's more of the less you concentrate, the more open you become. Therefore, the more likely it will happen.
There was recently, actually, because I love thrift stores, right? I'm always shopping at a thrift store. But recently, there was a large influx of this really nice furniture. It was all sort of Pier 1 style, kind of. You probably don't know that store, but it's like import stuff, like rich colors, burgundies and golds, and looks like everything sort of came from India, but it's actually Pier 1 kind of thing. Anyways, it was really beautiful stuff that came into this thrift store, and I bought a couple of lampshades. And when I picked up the lampshades, I immediately thought of this older woman who most likely was a professor. Like, I immediately got all these downloads of this older woman that was a professor, very intelligent, articulate, you know, like could see her literally in my mind's eye, and her personality, everything. And I'm pretty sure that woman must have passed away, and somehow all her stuff ended up in this thrift store. And the funny thing is, I kept thinking of her for days. I couldn't get rid of her. So I don't know if you'd call that a haunting, or I just kind of, you know, kept thinking about her. But to the point where I wanted to go look in a newspaper to see if a professor had just passed away in the area.
Curious. You know as much as you can. You want to find out more. Yeah. It kind of like you otherwise.
Yeah, because it was really strong.
Psychometry. Dana's just put it in the chat.
What's it called?
Psychometry or psychometry.
Psychometry. That's right. Thank you, Dana. Dana's my friend. Dana's very gifted herself. Yeah. So I've taken a few classes from Dana. She teaches, I think you teach psychometry as well, Dana, but also teaches how to work with a crystal ball and remote viewing.
Ooh.
So I've tried remote viewing. It's interesting. I kind of do it automatically on my own. I have my own way of doing it. So it was funny when I took Dana's class to do it. Like, I just could not. I was not getting anything when I was doing it because I just naturally want to go and do it. And usually what I get is sort of when I meet somebody, I can do a home tour of their house kind of thing. I don't ask me why, but if I know you, I most likely can see what your house looks like in my mind's eye before I go. So yeah, it's like places and that sort of thing. I can easily sort of remote view. And I'm not sure, again, if that's an empath skill, if that's, you know, something else, who knows? But I think there's a lot of things that, you know, empaths do that are tied to a certain type of gift, and people think of it as something separate, but it's all actually the same thing because it's all energy, you know, and time is all at the same time, you know, the past, the present, the future, it's all at the same time. So if you're able to tap into energy, then you can see all of it. And past is really easy to see. Future, meh, not so easy. And I think the reason that you can't see the future is that it's constantly changing. So anything that, you know, is happening now is constantly changing the future.
Agreed.
And also changing the past, really. So, you know, most psychic readers, I'm not going to say all, certainly not, but most psychic readers cannot see into the future because it's constantly changing. And if you tell somebody what's going to happen the next day now, that might be true, but then something might happen and it'll change it.
You just never know with the future. It's unpredictable.
Exactly. So that's why you can always sort of spot those fake psychics, you know. When you go to get a tarot reading from somebody that's not the real thing, yeah, you can spot them a mile away.
Agreed. You can spot them just by, if we even enter the shop to go and see them, you've only got to look at the shop and it's like, yeah, you're fake, you're a fraud, you're not the real thing, but good try. 5-star for an effort.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So
what
I think we are on to an hour and a half here.
We've done well.
Yeah. So should we wrap up as far as like empath abilities and talking? Maybe we can come up with some new things. If anybody has a question in the chat, please give us a question.
Just throw them out to us.
Yeah. But we can always do another chat next time and come up with some more strategies for empaths.
Sounds like a good idea. Sounds like a plan. Good topic, and I think it does help a lot of people as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's, you know, actually I think this is probably the most common you know, sort of psychic ability is being an empath. I think it's the most common, the first one that sort of, you know, shows its ability. You know, being able to walk into a room and feel the energy of a room, a lot of people can do that. So, you know, or being able to, here's a good practice thing for somebody who is an empath to do. So go on, if you're watching, let's say, any kind of politician doing a speech, and go beyond what they're saying and read into what the actual person is. Because politicians lie. Not just saying that. They are all facade. So, and so are actors, obviously. That's their job. So go into actors, politicians, that sort of thing. Watch their speech, watch a movie, whatever, and read into not what they're saying, but read into their actual emotions. And you'll find it interesting, especially actors, because there's no way to actually prove that any of it's what they're thinking. But I think you can find it entertaining, to watch, let's say, a scary movie, and that's not the emotion you're going to get from that actor. So,
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, try
Sounds
it.
rather interesting.
Don't read into what the lines are. Like, movies are just lines and makeup, and it's all fake. So read past that. Read past and see what the actors are actually thinking and feeling. And you might be a little surprised. It's interesting to do. And a lot of empaths can do that. It's kind of like, they say commentary, like you're talking about. You can pick up that object or read into that person and look beyond what's actually on the surface.
So reading between the lines.
That's right.
I'm enjoy it.
And politicians are entertaining because, and don't you have an election coming, actually?
I think so, yeah. That'd be interesting.
So, yeah, read into those politicians and see if they're telling the truth or what their real personality is. I think it's interesting.
Definitely going to have to give that a go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, and then I'll have to let you know how it goes.
But a good example of an actor that you can read in a movie that's really strong would be, what was his name? The one who played Batman. Not Batman.
Yes, I know him.
The Joker. He played the Joker in one of the Batman movies. You know who I'm talking about, because he ends up passing away. That's a good movie to read. Yeah. So you can read his emotions through that movie. It's actually really difficult to watch because of it. It's so raw. It's so real. It's almost right there on the surface. Underneath that character, you can see it.
I'm definitely going to have to watch that now. I'll take notes. Definitely.
All right. So if we have no questions, I think we'll probably end it there, and pick up on part 2 of empathic abilities next time.
That sounds like an idea to me.
Okay. So please, we're not exactly sure when we're going to do the next one, but we'll put it up on social media before we do. But you can find. Can you tell us your channel and a little bit about what you do on your channel?
Yep, it's called Corina Naturelover, and on there I am literally sharing my experiences. So if I'm making something witchy from scratch for myself, I will do it live, and I will let others share the experience that I'm having creating things. Or if I'm doing a meditation or something, it's just sharing my journey for others to share with me. So that's what my channel is about. Thank you.
And that's the kind of channels I love, the personal channels that really, sort of let you into what they're really like. I love it. Okay.
Dana's got a question.
Oh, okay.
What is the energy like over the pond? Nice question. Over the pond. I like that. The energy is pretty strong. It depends, like, where you go. Depends, like, I won't watch the news or anything like that because it just gets a bit much sometimes. But it can be quite fun. It's a bit of a mixture. It really does depend on like the situation. But then like being on live channels with everybody else, it helps you cope a little bit better because you learn to attune to different things, to different people. So yeah, do like that question.
Fantastic. I was interested too. I wonder what it's like for you to go to, historical sites that are so old with so much history and so much energy there. That is it overwhelming? Like
The best place I've ever been is Stonehenge.
oh,
And I tell you, you can see the energy in like its own aura, and it's just amazing. You kind of
oh
feel
my goodness!
like all your hairs go and stand on end, and you're not
Wow.
even near it. And it's just wow. It's just really overwhelming, but at the same time, it's like you're supercharged, you're super grounded, and it's just like wow. It's brilliant. I want to go there again.
That sounds amazing. I imagine it as a Stargate, is what I kind of think of it. I could be totally wrong. But it's almost like a gateway into connecting to higher energies. Like, is
Thank
that
you.
what you?
I do see it as that. I mean, there are other hinges, and there's a brother hinge, and it's made out of wood timbers. And what they were saying is the wooden one was more of like the one you go to for winter. It's the one where you would go to when someone's passed. You'd have one for the funeral, and then like Stonehenge would be for like marriages and celebrating the seasons and stuff like that. So to find that out was actually really interesting, and I wouldn't mind about trying to see all these different hinges and how they're all somehow connected.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think the energy would be incredible. Like, you think of the history there and all the people that go there and, raise their energy at that spot. Like, it must be incredible.
What about the crop circles? I've always wanted to go to a crop circle just to see what energy I feel from that, because I think that would be something really interesting and amazing to actually experience, for definite. But who knows how they're made? You never know. Some say aliens, some say people. I think it's just little spirits and little guides and that saying, we're still here, hello.
They're probably pretty active right now.
Oh, yeah. Know that all too well.
I really want to get to Glastonbury. That's kind of like one of my dream trips.
That would be absolutely amazing.
One of my teachers, she's constantly talking about it, and she's planned a trip this year to go as well, and she's booked Stonehenge to they're going to do some sort of morning ritual there, then they're going off to Glastonbury and they're doing something there as well, and then they're also going to the Roman bath house.
Oh wow.
I think it's in Bath. Yeah, so that's quite a trip.
I'd love to go
I
shopping
want to
in
go.
Glastonbury,
Yes, yes.
because I think that's like the one place where there's the most shops that are to do with pagans. And I'd be like, I'd love to go there and have a look.
How far away from it are you? Like, is it a
I'm
good,
quite far away.
yeah, a good day trip at least? Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Hmm.
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I can't think of any sort of meccas we have here in Ontario to go and sort of see, other than Ontario is just mostly nature. Like, the nature here is unbelievable. All the forests, the old forests and that. But, you know, we don't have anything as old as like a Stonehenge or anything like that. But now I think, if I remember right, in Eastern Canada, there's some old sort of relics, possibly from the Vikings. I think it's Oak Island or something like that. But that's yeah, that's about it for Canada. Like, you know, nothing of that age over here. So it would be interesting to visit something that old.
I think that would be amazing. I think, as an empath, I think you'll love it.
Oh, I think I would too. Yeah. I was able to get to Sedona, which was amazing for me.
Oh wow.
So nothing man-made, but the energy there is incredible. There's energy vortexes is what they call it. And how it works, I have no idea. Some people say that there's crystals inside, you know, the mountains and that sort of thing under the ground. And that's why you get these surges of energy. And then different places in Sedona have different energy. So some places feel loving and protective, and I think of like cotton candy. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like this pink fluffy feeling of energy. And some of the places in Sedona. And then you go to other ones and it feels like angry, like go get 'em kind of energy. And they called one the female energy and one the male energy. So the male energy one, that I think if you're in that energy and you want to go and do things and you're like really active and you go in that energy and you know, go and run and do things and that kind of stuff. But the minute I walked up to it, I just felt irritated. So it did not sit well with me at all. And then my husband was like trying to pick a fight with me that day. And I was like, okay, we need to get away from this energy and go do something else. It was not good for us. So yeah, that place was fascinating. And that's just all natural. Like there, you know, there's nothing built there. But it is as old as probably Stonehenge, because the native people that lived there would have been about that age. There's like carvings in the rocks from when they lived there and that sort of thing, and the different back when the native people lived there. So really interesting history there. The Hopi people, and they have a like a what do you call it? A prophecy about right now. I think they call it the fourth world or something like that. About how we were going to do a turn and go into a new earth right now.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So you know how people talk about ascension and the new earth and that sort of stuff, like you can see it all over the internet. The Hopi have an ancient prophecy about that, and they're talking about this time period right now. So I found that really interesting. I didn't really know about any of that until I went to Sedona and started learning it. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like something I might have to research.
Yeah, so like the ancient Mayans with their calendar, they knew as well, because that's what why the Mayan calendar turns over right now, or in 2012. And then the Hopi people had the same sort of prophecy.
Oh wow, I'm definitely going to research a lot of that.
Yeah, look into it. It's fascinating. But it basically talks about a new earth and how things are all going to change. You can look at it as sort of an Armageddon thing, or you can look at it as just a change. So it depends on your perception of it. So
yeah.
Wow. Interesting stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anyways, we should end. We're almost at 2 hours now talking empath stuff.
We are indeed.
It's been great talking to you. So much fun.
Thank you for having me.
So let's do it again soon.
Yes.
And make sure to check out Corina's channel and for new videos. And if you'd stay on for a minute when I click the stop broadcast.
Not a problem, my darling.
Okay. I'll see everybody else later, though. Thank you for joining us.